I'm gonna be honest, Superman is one of my least favorite superheroes in the Justice League, but when I saw this trailer for Superman 2025, I really felt like I wanted to see it because it looked like it was gonna be good. Just a little background on me. I don't read no comics. I like the MCU. I've watched every single MCU movie. My only knowledge of the Justice League and DC superheroes is literally Justice League Unlimited, Justice League, Young Justice, and that's about it. I like the Dark Knight trilogy. So this is not a super knowledgeable, informed review of Superman 2025. This is literally just me who wanted to see a movie of a trailer that I liked, and I'm giving my thoughts. This also will be a spoiler review for those who passed this point, so let's get into it. What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. First things first, I know I gotta get the promo and the formalities out of the way. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in my description box down below. I also have a second channel, which I'm gonna stick to just posting lifestyle content on there. And I also started my analytical podcast back. If you guys have any topics for me to talk about, please let me know because I ran out of stuff to talk about. I also have a Sims channel, which I upload on there. I have multiple series going on. I'm thinking about maybe starting a Love Island series, and I'm going to start a mini series for the new Enchanted by Nature pack, which is going to be machinima, going to be super fun. My first time doing something like that. So if you like The Sims, you like Alissa Jadyn, those two worlds have collided, and I do have a Sims channel that you can check out. And of course, my patrons over on Patreon, you guys will be getting this video first before anyone sees it on YouTube, so you have early access. And I also upload periodically to say, hey, what video should I upload next? And I want to get back into Patreon exclusive content down the line, so I appreciate you guys' continued support. I know I'd be up and down, but we're gonna get back to it, I promise. Let's get into our Superman 2025 review. So quite literally just last night, today is July 20th, I went to go see Superman, which is written and directed by James Gunn. I mostly know James Gunn from the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. Y'all, honestly, in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy is good from start to finish. Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't have a single bad movie in that trilogy. So I have my hopes up pretty high for this movie because I'm like, you know what? Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite thing in the MCU. I think this movie is going to be very good. I did see it in IMAX. That movie theater was loud as hell, which I did appreciate because I feel like it immerses you in the experience, but I feel like that made it more fun to watch. My first impressions, honestly, after the movie was over, and even while the movie was going and started, I was like, wait, this movie's really fun. Like, what happened to fun? You know? From the trailer, I thought it was going to be way more serious than it was. And I think one thing that I appreciated about the movie was that it didn't take itself too serious. And I feel like a lot of superhero movies as of recently have been trying to be very serious. And I was a fan of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness because it was just a fun, campy movie. But I know a lot of people were like, what the heck? But I love Doctor Strange. That was one of my favorite movies when that came out. So my expectations were honestly a little bit skewed because I thought it was going to be a serious movie tone wise, but then it ended up being very fun. And if y'all know me, y'all know I love me an ensemble cast. So I really appreciated the characters of this movie. One, this movie was casted very well. I feel like the people that were in their roles really brought out a side to their characters that if anybody else would have had them, I feel like it wouldn't be as good as it is. The Justice Gang, which was Green Lantern, Hot Girl, and Mr. Terrific, were very good. I feel like every single person did great in their roles. Y'all, even Lois Lane, even Superman was very good. And even Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, I liked, but I'll get into Lex Luthor later. It's so weird, this like direction that these live action movies are going with Lex Luthor. And I honestly miss when he was just kind of a maniacal businessman. My personal crack cast for Lex Luthor, yes, crack cast, not crack ship, crack cast, is Omari Hardwick. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but maybe he's like black famous, but I've always wanted to see Omari Hardwick play Lex Luthor. Tell me if y'all see it or not. I always think that that's like a crazy like casting, but I would love to see him in that role for some reason, just to give me some validity in what my thoughts are on the Lex Luthor character and how he can just be a maniacal businessman and very menacing and scary, more than movies have been portraying him recently as like a crazy, arrogant, petty guy with a vengeance. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But anyway, let's get into the character since we're on it. Let's talk about Lois Lane. I'm going to be honest. I've never really been a fan of Lois Lane and Superman as a dynamic. Them separately coming together didn't do anything for me in anything else. But I will say, them in this movie were the best part. Their roles in this movie was literally the best part, and I enjoyed every single bit of it. Those freaky frogs, y'all. I was like, y'all getting into this argument at the beginning of the movie when people said that it was gonna be like, what was that song by Kendrick Lamar? I don't remember, but anyway, give me my fucking key. It was very much given that y'all argue, then y'all doing a nasty after the argument or something. Like, that was the vibe that they gave, but I feel like that's what made their relationship so passionate. I don't know, Love Island is over, I'm in the mood for love, so seeing that dynamic, I was like, okay, I'm liking Lois Lane and Superman together. But I could not get it out of my head every time. And I don't know what it was, because I don't think I've ever heard this in my mind before. But every time Superman in this movie would say Lois, I couldn't help but say Lois out loud in the theater. Not like out loud, but like to myself in the theater. And I was just like, I don't know why I never correlated that is her name, like Lois, like Peter Lois. But anyway, I really enjoyed Lois Lane's character in this movie because I feel like in the animated series and stuff that I watched, I feel like she was kind of just like straightforward. She took her job very seriously, and it was just a little boring to me. Keyword to me. But in this movie, I felt like she, yes, did take her job very seriously, but she also was very passionate. She wanted to get to the truth. She didn't mind, you know, questioning and getting at Superman in a way that, yes, will ruffle some feathers, but it's like, we're going to get to the truth. We're going to get to the story. And even putting herself out there to get that information by any means. And also, I feel like you had a clear view of her moral compass, but also she was just like, I don't know, she was a cool girl. She was a cool, fun girl. So I really liked Lois's character in this movie, individually and paired up with Superman. Now, for me, Superman in this movie was very good. The casting was very good. What is the name of the actor that plays him? David Corenswet, I believe his name is pronounced, was very good in this role. The thing about it is, in which they pushed in this movie, was that he's human in a sense. Like, he was less of like this perfect alien savior. I know Boy Scout is always a term that gets thrown around with him, but I feel like that's what made me less inclined to have Superman be my favorite. I do love an overpowered superhero, and I feel like that's what Superman is. So I just like seeing him, you know, use his powers because he's super strong. But in just the things that I've watched, like, I liked seeing Superman on my screen, but I just felt like he could have more depth. Now, my favorite version of Superman in the things that I've watched was actually in Young Justice, because we saw him be kind of flawed in a sense that he didn't want to be a daddy, which I'll get into later. But in this one, Superman felt very adolescent and immature, as if he was going through a journey of growth while also having these powers that someone really needs to be mature and have a solid moral compass to have. And I feel like from the beginning of the movie, when he was arguing with Lois, you kind of see that he does have a moral compass, but it's kind of like very impulsive, and he's just going to do what he believes is right and not think about the big picture and think about the actions of what he's doing, especially as a superhuman alien. And this is a small gripe, but I guess in the movie I would have liked to see more Clark Kent versus Superman moments. I feel like obviously the movie is called Superman, but we got a lot of Superman in this movie, and there was a whole lot of moving parts in this movie that of course I'm going to get into, and I break down, or not even break down, get into my thoughts on the story and the pacing. But we kind of got Clark Kent in the beginning, but never really got Clark Kent throughout the movie. And I feel like in some scenes they kind of set us up to think that this will kind of be a back and forth situation, especially with Lois Lane being like a pivotal part of the movie. We don't really see Lois interact with Clark Kent as much as I thought that we would. And I feel like there were a lot of huge imminent threats that of course would need us to see Superman. But I just feel like there was a direction that the movie could have gone that could have made the story pacing a little bit better. I feel like a lot of that was because the main threat of the movie was Lex Luthor. So Lex Luthor's portrayal in this movie is honestly one of my least favorites. I did see like the Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel movies. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember Man of Steel. I remember watching that in my room like in high school, and that movie was so long and boring that I could not tell you what the heck happened in that movie. But I did watch Batman versus Superman in kind of a similar situation with that. I don't remember which movie it was, and that's the problem here, is that they are such a blur, and I never wanted to revisit them in my life. And I did see the Justice League movies as well, but again, same issue here. The portrayal of Lex Luthor in those movies, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, I did not like. Like I said, I really like when, honestly, hate to compare the universes, but I honestly like when Lex Luthor is portrayed as like an evil, two-faced Tony Stark. Maniacal, menacing. Because here's the thing, my only knowledge of like Lex Luthor, this whole DC Superman, all this stuff is literally the animated series. So in those series, Lex Luthor is so scary without being so forwardly scary, because he's so two-faced, where it's like in the people's faces, he's very manipulative and he can scare you just by his words, you know, without having to be so dramatic and petty like we kind of see in this movie. But the Justice League, I feel like, were the people that really knew his motives in a lot of things, like how envious he is, how vengeful he is, and really how far he will go to do things and get back at Superman, which his whole beef with Superman, even in this movie, was just like, boy, you know you want to kiss him. Like, just kiss. Now, in the animated series, he did get his wish and trapped Superman with a baby in Young Justice. But he kind of did that in this movie too with the whole clone thing, but I'll get into all of that later, I guess. But Lex Luthor's portrayal in this movie, while Nicholas Hoult did a very good job at what he was given, it's just sometimes like, why are they portraying Lex Luthor as this like pouty baby? Like, he was like throwing stuff on the ground and screaming and hollering. I'm like, I feel like that's what always made Lex Luthor a compelling character to me, was that yes, he would raise his voice, yes, he would be abusive. You would only see that stuff in the privacy of being around him. And of course, I feel like the privacy and being around him was in this movie, they were only at Luthor Corp the whole time. Anyway, this is just one of my least favorite directions to go with the Lex Luthor character, I'm gonna be honest. Now, when they introduced the Justice Gang in the movie, I thought that they would have a more pivotal role in the plot, and they did, but I feel like it was more so just for convenience. Like, they were more so used for wherever Superman can't be, we're gonna put the Justice Gang there to just fill in these spots that Superman can't be here. But I guess I understood the whole point of that, like, it takes a village, it takes a community to do these things, or it's not about Superman just being the beacon of hope and he's gonna save us all. Like, no, there's a lot of people that can do a lot of different things that Superman can't do. Maybe Superman isn't emotionally intelligent enough to just handle this threat. We're going to use Superman more as the muscle and the beacon more than, you know, what we can do as a group of heroes. So I guess I understood that point in the movie, but I feel like we could have maybe utilized them a little bit more, especially Hawkgirl. I did enjoy Green Lantern. He was funny. He was probably one of the funniest parts of the movie. Mr. Terrific's character was, dare I say, terrific. Don't fight me. Mr. Terrific's character was great. I liked seeing somebody that wasn't necessarily like a super as far as powers, because I mean, Green Lantern really isn't. He just got that ring. But a more tech savvy person, you know, that's smart and can think through situations. So I appreciated Mr. Terrific for that. But Hawkgirl, I feel like, is muscle. And yes, we kind of used her as muscle in this movie, but she kind of just seemed like a bratty teenager in a sense, and I'm pretty sure she was a grown-ass woman. I'm like, Hot Girl is always just very strong, speaks her mind. So I didn't like that they kind of went that direction with her in this movie. Small gripes, but that was just my observations. Now, one part that did make me laugh was when the tyrannical leader of Baravia, yeah, Baravia was like, girl, please, you're not gonna kill me. I was like, oh, you don't know Hot Girl. Hot Girl will definitely kill you. And she did. So that part was very funny to me. I really enjoyed the Supergirl cameo. That actually took me completely by surprise. She showed up and she was basically Hancock. He said that she likes to party on planets that have red suns so that she wouldn't heal. Now, of course, my brain, I don't know. I was like, wait, but if she made it all the way to Earth where there's a yellow sun, how is she still drunk and not healing from that? Anyway, Crypto was also in this movie. I do remember that show when I was growing up, but Crypto was Supergirl's dog in this movie, and it just made complete sense with how he was handling her, that he's just used to being wild and crazy, because that dog was completely out of control. And how do you put a super dog on a leash, right? I don't know, and I don't know who's gonna be able to do it. One part that was also very funny to me in this movie was literally the people. In any universe where there's superheroes, the people, the citizens are so dumb. Like, there were so many moments in this movie. And I mean, that's parallel to real life, but there was so many moments in this movie where I was like, bruh, why are they just standing here watching? Why do they just stand here with their phones out and then the whole office is getting burnt to smithereens and they're like, oh yeah, we're okay. Why are you guys still in the office watching this happen? Like, I would be so far away, at least I think. Because I know I'm nosy. I know my nosiness be kicking in. So it's like driving past a car crash, right? You talk mess about everybody that's ahead of you and be like, oh my God, come on. And then you drive past the car crash and you being nosy too. I feel like it's kind of like that. But it was them finding out that Superman was sent there to basically conquer. And they're like, boo, boo, boo. Like, I'm like, what are y'all about to do? Jump him? Superman? I don't think y'all gonna jump Superman. They threw a can at his head. That was like one of the funniest parts of the movie. I was like, that part literally had me like, oh my God. And now what if Superman would have just turned around and turned into Homelander, backhanded you, hit you with some laser eyes or something? I was literally just like, what do these people think? He go into this building and they banging on the windows, like trying to get a rise out of him. It's like, do you guys really want to get a rise out of Superman? I didn't know who those people thought they were. But that was killing me. The lady that was stuck driving, I was like, now, what the hell? But it would just, I don't know. If I was Superman, I would just be irritated with how citizens get themselves in stupid predicaments every day and just expect me to save them. And that's why I'm not Superman. But anyway, I want to get into the story and the pacing of the movie really quick. One thing that was obviously apparent in this movie was that we didn't go through like an origin story or anything of Superman. We kind of just jump right in. There's words on the screen to tell us what has happened before anything. And I'll be honest, I didn't really mind that. Like I said, I'm not a Superman girl. So I don't really care to go into the nitty-gritty details of what Superman got going on in his life. I feel like we all know that information, but it is a thing of, as a person who makes YouTube videos for a living, right? Sometimes you have to talk about things in a way that you have to assume that people have not seen the things that you're talking about or are knowledgeable on the things that you were talking about. So you do have to do the due diligence of explaining those things. But I feel like the movie did do that. It was like, we understand that he's an alien. His parents left him a message. That was his whole driving force, was the message that his parents left him. We understand that he's an alien from Krypton and he was dropped here and he's the beacon of hope. I feel like that message got put across very well in the movie. Like, if you're not the type of person to understand context clues, maybe you needed a whole prelude or whatever at the beginning of the movie to show who Superman was. But I feel like we got that. I feel like it was really a story of his life at this current moment in time. And then we see him be down and then go up. I love me an underdog story, one. And this is a horrible comparison, but I was just watching Inception. I was just watching Inception the other day. And it kind of made me think of that, where it's like you're learning as you're watching the movie what the hell is going on. Like, in the beginning of the movie, you see Cobb's wife and you're like, who the hell is this lady? But then throughout the movie, you learn who his wife is without them having to be like, this is his wife, she died, this and that. Sorry if y'all have not seen Inception. That was an Inception spoiler. So I didn't mind it. However, I'm going to be honest. As much as I love the characters in this movie and all those things, I will say that the story was a little flat and I did not like the pacing of the movie. It started out pretty strong with us starting at the Fortress of Solitude and kind of getting the backstory on who Superman is from that point. Because again, if you just listen to the stuff they're talking about, you will understand what the heck is going on. And then we see he works at the Daily Planet. He's Clark Kent. He's dating Lois. And I feel like they were setting us up to literally have a movie of like Clark and Superman, seeing how his life was being Superman, trying to blend and be human and things like that. So I feel like there was a lot going on. There was a lot of things going on. And I really feel like the issue was the multiple things that Lex Luthor was involved in order to take down Superman. There was a lot of moments where I was like, why doesn't he just kill Superman? But then when he was about to kill Superman, I was also like, he ain't gonna kill Superman. He loved that man too much. He is not about to kill Superman. He's about to be like, stop. Wait, don't kill him. I literally was thinking that, but he didn't do that. He really wanted him dead in that movie. But I just didn't understand why he went through such great lengths for the whole thing to be like, I didn't do this to do that. I did all this to kill you, Superman. You had so many moments to just kill Superman. So it was like, we're doing all of this just for you to want to kill Superman, but then and not even be able to kill Superman. Him basically starting a war to do so, which was one of the central points of the movie, that Superman actually didn't directly resolve the conflict. It was the Justice Gang. That part with that little monster came and got big and the Justice Gang was introduced. Somebody gonna have to explain that part to me, because I feel like that part was like, boom, we letting this monster go. And it was just a pacing thing, because it was like something was happening in the movie and then that part popped up and I'm like, who the heck are these people? Maybe I wasn't listening. IMAX theater was very loud, so sometimes it was very hard to like hear, but I could hear. I don't know. Somebody gonna have to explain that part to me. I feel like there was just a lot going on where the story was not completely linear for me to follow and understand. For me, keyword for me. And then the final fight where we find out he's a twin. The Prestige reference, that he was a twin clone. I wasn't expecting that. Like in the beginning when he was fighting him, what was his name? Ultra. And I feel like a lot of that stuff was very predictable for us to see that like Lex was behind all this stuff. I was like, this guy's literally working for Lex, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, of course. I feel like it was completely dragged. The reason why Lex Luthor was able to get into the Fortress of Solitude, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are they related? Are they, like, of course not. And I'm like, I mean, maybe he just got his DNA. Did we find out he does have his DNA from Obsessed one, somebody called Mariah Carey, scouring the battles after they're done fighting to find traces of Superman's DNA. Sir, you need a therapist. He has his DNA. He's able to get into the Fortress of Solitude, so it was no issue. But it was like, that was so anticlimactic to me. It was like, okay, just to make a clone of him to replace him and control him. I don't know. I guess I was just a little bit let down by some of that stuff. And then Superman clone gets thrown into the black hole, and that's how that ends. I don't know. It was just a lot of stuff that was like, man, if y'all don't get out of my face with something, I don't know. Overall, the movie was fun. Overall, the movie was very fun. I just feel like the war and the rift were like two huge issues that we could have picked one. Like a rift is a huge problem, and I feel like they all could have came together to resolve that issue, or we all come together to resolve this war. And it's like, I mean, in real life, there are multiple conflicts that happen in life, but it was like, for the pacing of the movie, we gotta pick one. That's just how I felt. So things that did work for me in this movie was the casting. I love an ensemble cast. I'm gonna eat it up every time. Lois Lane, shocker, very much worked in this movie. The IMAX visuals. Let's talk about it. The movie was absolutely gorgeous. The fight scenes were very good. I forgot to say that one of my favorite things about this movie was literally watching Superman actually beat people up. Like, he was getting down in this movie, and I loved seeing him just use his powers in that way. Because I mean, yeah, he does do that in everything that I've watched, but I just like seeing it. I like that they made Superman very human in this movie, to a point where we're not seeing him at his peak. We're kind of seeing him at a point where he still needs to grow. So I appreciated that. What didn't work for me in this movie was the story. And that's the whole point of the movie, right? But I'm telling you, I'm a character person, so that bumped it up for me where it was like, oh, the characters are great. I like seeing the characters. This is really fun. But the story did have some pacing issues, in my opinion, where it started very strong, then it kind of got lost in the sauce as we continued. Overall, I would say I wasn't bored. I was never bored watching the movie. Sometimes I was a little lost, but I did leave entertained. So I feel like that's still a win. I don't know what I would give this on Letterboxd. Maybe like a 3.5 out of 5. Is that fair? Because I would definitely revisit this movie and I definitely want to see more, but like there were some issues that maybe I thought I would leave the movie feeling a little bit more fulfilled that I just did not, that I can't even, I can't make that up. I can't lie about how I feel. But you guys tell me how you felt about the Superman 2025 movie. Did you see it? Do you want to see it? What are your thoughts? What was your favorite part? I would love to know. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. Oh yeah, I'll be streaming on Twitch. Anyway, all that information is in the description box down below. If you made it to the end, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.